Evening, everybody, and welcome to Indie Strong, helping you become a stronger indie author one question at a time. If you like what you're watching, please just take a minute to love this video and also share it with your Facebook friends. If you're watching on YouTube, I would really appreciate it if you just give it a quick thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that you never miss an episode. So thank you all for being here tonight. I'm fighting off a bit of a cold, so I hope that the meds I took don't prohibit me from making sense when I'm answering these questions. I didn't want to be a snot monster, so I did take a little bit of something before I got on. But as you can tell, I'm a little congested, I wrote these notes before my medicine, so hopefully I will stay on track and I will make sense for you. But something had to be done because it was just a lot of yuck. So fighting off a bit of a cold. Last year, I hardly ever got sick. And I think it was because Baby Bear was in quarantine the whole time. For those of y'all who don't know, Baby Bear was born about a month early, a little past a month early. Oh, it's good to see you again, Jenny. A little past, or a little, I don't know. He was over a month early. He was premature, let's put it that way. And that's the meds, people. I'm telling you right now, that's the meds. But he had some small pockets of collapsed lung when he was born. Now, this is not something that should affect his life in any way, except if he would have gotten RSV or the flu or measles, something like that. So he and I just basically stayed inside all winter long, and neither one of us caught anything, thank goodness. And so this weekend I was out and about the whole time. Friday I set up for a book signing. Saturday I had a book signing. Thank you guys who came out and said hi. Really appreciated that. It was a good signing. And then I had a meeting Saturday, and then Sunday I went to a concert that was just full of people and cooties. And so somewhere along those lines, I have picked up something. And so just bear with me. I guess somebody was really in the giving spirit and decided to gift me a bug. I know, it's life, I guess. So, but thankfully, Baby Bear's still healthy. Anley, or the kiddo, y'all know her name, but the kiddo has a bug. Thank you, Jenny. The kiddo has a bug. Mike seems to be fighting off a bug. We're just buggy people. So, but let's get on with these questions. Oh, I did want to say though, if you've never seen Trans-Siberian Orchestra in person, like if you've never gone to their concert, you should go. It was phenomenal. It was crazy fun, and the music was amazing, and the light show was fantastic. And I'm still just like, every time I close my eyes, I'm just seeing pictures of this. And they really did tell a story with this music. And of course, if you don't like guitar, you don't like loud music, it's probably not for you, but we had an amazing time. Of course, I went with the two most stoic people that I know, Mike and the kiddo. They will love something, but they don't get into it. I'm on the edge of my seat, wondering what's going to happen next. And they're just sitting there yeah, that's good. Yeah. So I'm just come on. So maybe Baby Bear will have more of my personality and we'll have a little more fun together. They're just we're clapping along. It's good times, and I'm just yeah. Anyway, I'm a fun person to go to a concert with. Them, well, if you just want to sit there and watch it, then they're fun people to go with. Okay, anyway, moving on. Let's get on to the questions before I lose my voice. All right, so first question. Last week you mentioned you had a problematic editor, and you said you'd get back to what you did about it, but you never did. Oh no, I'm sorry. Could you tell us now? And that's from Tana in Texas. Yes, and I'm really sorry about that, Tana. I'm really bad about rambling, and I'm really trying to rein that in because I go off on a lot of rabbit trails. And so during that, I looked back, and during that, I was talking about something else. And so that was a rabbit trail. And I was I'll come back to it because it is important for y'all to know if this happens to you, what to do. And then I never went back to it because it wasn't in my notes. And my brain was trying to tell you something else. And I've told you guys this before. I have so much here that I want to tell you, but when it tries to go out through my mouth, it just gets all clogged up and I forget what I'm saying, or I go off on another tangent because I just have so much to share. So that's why I have my notes, and so I can kind of stay focused because I just want to tell you everything. Anyway, yeah, I had an editor, and she just didn't work, okay? She wasn't a good fit. I have absolutely nothing against her. we just come from two very different schools of storytelling, and there very much are different schools of storytelling. I am a writer who is very much about the story. I don't care about sounding poetic. I don't sit there and agonize over what are the right words. I mean, I want it to be coherent, and I want it to flow nice, and I even want you to stop and go like, oh, that's a nice sentence. But I don't agonize over that. I really just want to tell you a good story. When I sit down and write, that's my goal. Okay. And some people, they really want to be poetic, and they really want to, they're really writing literature. There's a lot of symbolism. There's a lot of just kind of metaphor and moral and, all that stuff. And it's really great writing, but it's not the type of writing that I do. And so I think she came from more of that other school of writing. So that was a problem. And she was supposed to just copy edit, but she took it upon herself to go above and beyond, and she did a content edit as well. And the problem was that she did not understand my voice, because I have an inner narrator. Voice comes very easy to me, and voice can be super hard for some authors. Basically, I got Morgan Freeman living right here narrating my story. So I have the voice and the pace and the word's not coming to me right now, but just the cadence. That's the word I'm looking for. The cadence of the story is already here. So voice is not something that I have to fight hard once I have it down. Like sometimes at the beginning, I have to rewrite until I find it. But once I find it, I've got it through the story. She did not understand my voice at all. She did not understand my storytelling. And so she went about changing the story and the story structure and my plot. Yeah. So as you can imagine, this didn't set well with me. And she didn't really do the job that I paid her to do, because by the time that she got finished rewriting everything, I had no idea if my words, my voice were correct grammatically. So I paid her to copy edit, and I should have been clearer of what I expected. But like I said, she spent so much time rewriting my work that I didn't know if my words were correct. It was so frustrating. And I recently just pulled this title off because I released it in such a hurry last year, because I felt like I had to publish. And so I really did rush this book, and I feel it in my gut that it's not ready. And I kind of put that gut feeling off and off and off as like, it's out there. There's not a lot I can do about it now. But just recently I pulled it because it's not something that I'm proud of. And I want all my work to be something that I'm proud of. So my point is, you just can't rush this stuff. So, and I rushed it, and now I regret putting it out as fast as I did. So it's Before Quill Crossings, in case you're wondering, and I've pulled it, and I'm going to rewrite it into a full-length novel. Don't ask me when. I don't know when, but I just know that's what I'm going to do. I did not tell the whole story. And so, anywho, I take full responsibility for Before Quill Crossings and the book and the editor thing not working out, because I did not do my due diligence and get her to give me a sample of her copy editing work. I was in a huge hurry, and she was able to edit this book by my price point and by my deadline. And so I hired her on the spot without seeing what kind of work that she did. And that is my fault. So had I gotten a sample copy of her work, she probably would have made the same comment that she did on the whole thing, which she basically said that this had to be a rough draft. Now, editors, even if you think that, please don't write that, because that stung, because it was not a rough draft. And even though I am fully admitting that I rushed that book, I did work hard on it. And so it was nothing like a rough draft. It just wasn't her type of story. So if I would have gotten that copy editing sample from her, I would have seen that she was going to rewrite my story, and that she was going to try to change my voice. And I would have known that she wasn't a good fit. I would have known that she was not the person that I should hire, even though I was in a hurry. And, like I said, I am not dogging on her at all. She did what she felt was right. She did the job to the best of her ability. And so even though I was incredibly frustrated with what she did, I thanked her for her time and I paid her the full amount because it is my responsibility as an independent author owning my publication house to make sure that I do that due diligence and I get that sample from the editor. That is all my responsibility. Now, that being said, if you get a sample from a copy editor and you think, this is great, this person is awesome, and you hire them for a job, and then you get that job back and it's not what you had expected, then you need to work with that person because you've had their sample, you hired them, you agreed to that contract, work with them to get what you need. Tell them what you loved about the sample that you got and that you need more of that. Let them know what you were expecting and work with them to get the job done correctly. And when I say work with them, I mean cordially. I mean, there is no reason not to be diplomatic, even if you're having a dispute with a contract worker. You should be nice and you should be cordial and you can still get the work done. You can still get it done. In fact, you'll probably get it done easier. Now, if you are a contractor, if you do editing, if you're the editor, if you're the cover designer, what do you do when a client is being demeaning and demanding? And I'm not talking about just wanting their work on time. I'm talking about abusing you as a hired person. Now, look, you're a contractor, but you guys are still equals. And so if they are not treating you the way that you deserve to be treated, you fire them. That's period. And that goes both ways. If you're an author who has hired a copy editor and you're trying to work with them because it's not what you thought it would be per the sample, if you don't have that sample, you don't really have a leg to stand on. Per the sample, then you can fire them. If you're mean to them, they can fire you. In fact, my sister, I told her, look, this person is being horrible to you. She was being a total diva. And I said, if she's going to be, let's just say it, an ass, then you don't need to deal with that. So fire them. That is kind of one of those places you don't want to go there. I never want to fire somebody. In fact, I've never had to fire somebody. I've always been able to talk it out and say, hey, this is what I really need. How can we make this work? But I'm a pretty cordial person, if I do say so myself. I hate confrontation, hate it. I mean, even talking politics with my dad. I mean, as long as we remain joking, I'm fine. But if like we get serious about politics, I'm just kind of like, oh, I hate this conversation. So yeah, I don't like confrontation at all. So I really do try to work with people. And thankfully, I've worked with people long enough that I kind of know how to do it where feelings aren't getting hurt and we can work together. And most people will work with you. So again, before you hire a copy editor, get a sample of their work if you've never worked with them before. Thankfully, I have 3 in my back pocket, and I've worked with them before, and I love all 3 of them, and I try to spread my work around so that I can pay each one of them for different projects. But, you know, not everybody is that lucky, especially since 2 of mine are family. I have a very talented family. I mean, I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm going to utilize them to the best of my ability, and I still pay them. So, but I also have somebody that's not family that I can also turn to. And so it just so happened that last summer, all 3 of those people were out of town or dealing with loved ones or having surgery. Like every person I wanted that I knew that I could work well with had some kind of medical or family emergency happening. So it's just one of those things. It happens. And so I tried somebody new. It didn't work out, but I didn't get that sample. So I paid her. I thanked her for her time, and I'm not going to blast her because she did the job to the best of her ability. It just was not a match for me. And so, and she got it done quick. She was super fast about getting the work back to me. So, and she was affordable. So on those aspects, she was really good, but I'm not gonna put her name out there. So don't ask me because that's not fair to her because she did her job. It just wasn't the right match. So that being said, let's move on. Just be nice, talk it over, work it out, work with people, and don't rush it. Those are my points there. Okay, second question. What are the word counts for novellas, novels, etc.? And this one's from Rubina in Texas. And this is a really great question. Now you can look this up online and you'll find a variation of different rules. And basically there really aren't any rules. And we'll go into that in just a minute. The numbers I'm about to give you are very much from me looking at different sites and writing down kind of an average, kind of a goal that I have set for myself. And so this is the experience that has worked well for me. Now, I'm very much going to talk about fiction here. Nonfiction, well, you're welcome. Nonfiction really doesn't matter as long as you're getting your point and your lesson across. You guys have heard me talk about Chris Fox before and his Write Faster, Write Smarter series that I love. They're not thick. This book is under 100 pages. I think it's like 97 pages when I looked. And I don't care because he gets the point across. He's like, this is what I'm going to teach you, and I'm going to teach you it right here, right now. I mean, I really hate it when I pick up a self-help book and I have to muddle through all the crap to get to the point. And so, you know, he doesn't do that. He gets straight to the point, and I really like that. So nonfiction, you really have a lot of leeway as far as word count goes. So let's talk about fiction. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what these are. So if you write 500 words or less, that is what's called flash fiction. That is a very detailed short story. And yes, it should be, I should say, to the point short story. And it still should be a story. It can't just be like the hook for a longer story. It has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So it has to still have that story arc of, this is my character, this is the problem, this is what the character wants, this is how they get it, and the stuff that goes down while they're trying to get it, and then the resolution, and tie it all up in a pretty bow. So it still has to have all that, but it's just super condensed. It's like eating that orange juice right from the can. Yeah, so, I mean, it should pack a punch. Then 500 words to 2,000 words is what's called a short story. It can also just be a short story, but a lot of times when like contests are looking for short stories, this is where that falls. Short stories would be like what is in A Chicken Soup for the Soul, which I realize is nonfiction, but that would be the level, excuse me, so I told you that cold. That would be the amount of words that you want to have. I think they're looking for no more than 1,200 words, Chicken Soup for the Soul. So that would be what's called a short story. And that's basically like a page and a half in a book. So it's really short, but again, has to have that starting point, that middle, that end. So character has to want something, has to work towards it. Something has to go wrong where they have to fix it. That's the big climax. And then there's the resolution. Okay. And then we have 2,000 to 20,000 is considered a short story. And almost all short stories really kind of fall into this range. My short stories usually end up being short stories. That's just how I write. But I have gotten kind of away from this short story lately, and I really need to get back because it is a really good way to figure your writing style out as short stories. And I used to write a ton of them. And I've just gotten away from it. And it's kind of an art that I miss. So I'm going to get back to it. And then, and of course, you got to have the beginning, middle, and end on that. All of these need a curve. So, and then 20,000 words to 50,000 words is a novella. It's a short novel. And then 50,000 words to 80,000 words is a novel, is considered a novel. And then 80,000 words and up is considered an epic novel. Now, again, this is just a guideline. By no means is this like hard and fast rule here. It's not math. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Always. Your word counts can vary. The Great Gatsby was just over 47,000 words. So, and I don't think anybody would sit here and say, oh, well, that's a novella. No, it's a novel. It's a great American novel. And so, if Missing Quail Crossings ended up being 93,000 words. So, you know, by my admission here, it should be an epic novel. Well, it's not. It's just a novel. Some are going to be a little bit smaller. Some are going to be a little bit thicker, and that's fine. But here are questions that you want to ask yourself if it's under the 80,000 or under the 50,000 words. Did you make it too easy for the person? Did you add enough of the senses in order to really make your book come alive? Are your characters 3D enough? Have you described them enough? Have you given them the little habits and tics that people have? Again, did you make it too easy on the characters? I read a book from a friend a few years ago, and I loved the book, but the only thing that I didn't like about it was everything came so easy to the main character. And I was like, she asked me to content edit it, so I did. And my advice was, you gotta make it harder on her. Everything comes way too easy. So did you make it too easy? And that was one of the first critiques I got on Quill Crossings after the first draft was, it's all too easy. So you gotta give them some struggles because the reader wants to know if they're gonna overcome those struggles to get what they want. And your character's needs and wants are what propels the story along. That's why people are reading, to see if the character gets what they need or want. Okay, so and make sure all of your subplots are resolved. So if it's falling under that 50,000 words, check those things. Your character's got to be three-dimensional. Your setting's got to be three-dimensional, but don't tell me about every blade of grass. I don't want to hear about it. Did you incorporate the senses, smell, hearing, taste even? I've been writing a lot about food in my novels lately. It makes me super hungry, but that's what it should do. I had a friend who was writing about fried chicken, and I was just like, well, now I gotta go have fried chicken because she just made it she made it come alive on the page. So if it's under, then look for those things. If you answer yes to all those questions, then you don't add a single word. Like I said, The Great Gatsby was 47 and change thousand words. So it's your story. It can be your length. Like I said, these are guidelines. If you've gone over what you feel you should or over what I've said is the novel count, ask yourself about these. Does it have too much description? Like I said, I do not want to know what every blade of grass looks like. I want to read a story, not have a tour. And so, yes, description is, I probably am the worst at description of both my characters and my setting. That's probably where I fall flat. But I still don't, I'm sure that you don't want to read about every fence post at Quill Crossings. So there's a balance is all I'm trying to say. So, and I will say, when I was doing my research for this, that one of the leading causes that make a reader put down a book is if it's too descriptive. And that's what I'm talking about. Those tell me about every blade of grass or every fence post. I want to get into the story. I want to dive into the story. Jenny, do you know what the novelette word count is? So she was just saying between short stories and novellas are novelettes. And so that's not a term that I'm too familiar with, but maybe she'll answer that question here. If not, I will find out and let you all know. So did you use too much description? Are there too many secondary characters that make it confusing? Are there too many subplots? And if you have too many subplots, don't just delete those. Copy them, save them in another document, and use those nuggets, those golden nuggets in another story, okay? Are there parts that just aren't needed? And Stephen King once said, sometimes you gotta kill your darlings. And sometimes there's a cute, adorable scene that you really wanna add, but it doesn't advance the plot or any of the subplots. And so it's just kind of fat. And it may be the cutest little fat you've ever seen, but if your book is too long and it really wrecks the pacing, then you're probably going to want to copy and paste that into another document to use in another spot, okay, where it does work towards the plot or a subplot. So those are, so that's kind of, like I said, a general guideline. Only you can really know how long your story should be. I feel really comfortable when my novels are over 50,000 words. Missing Quill Crossings had to be 93,000 words in order to get everything in. And that's because I have a lot of family members and I had a lot of subplots, and I feel like I did a pretty good job of keeping the pace moving. So that you can definitely go over or under those, just like I said, guidelines. Okay, so this next one wasn't really a question, but I wanted to take some time to help you plan for 2020 because I will be taking the rest of December off from doing my lives. I know, I hate to do it, But as anybody who is the coordinator of their family's holiday festivities, they realize that it is a lot of work. And there are a lot of things I need to do, like get a haircut. Definitely got to get that done. There's nothing like looking at your face on camera once a week to realize that you really need a haircut. Like, I don't know what this little piece of hair is doing over here. But anyway, I need a haircut. I need to clean my house. I'm not like messy, like ew messy, but clutter is everywhere. And so there's just a lot that needs to be done. And part of getting rid of the clutter is part of my 2020 goals. So I know that I will work better if the house is a little clutterless. Clutter, not as cluttery. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Not as cluttery. So, and I'm going to write, there's just a lot more to do when you're getting ready for these holidays. And y'all know that, but I'm not taking off writing. I'm just going to stop my Indie Lives until December the 6th, and I will be back then. So keep those questions coming. And here is how you make a writing plan for 2020. So first you want to think about the projects that you want to finish next year. Whether you want to just complete rough drafts or whether you want to publish. So you need to think about those, and then you need to calculate how much time it will take to complete those projects. So if you have your rough draft of a book you want to publish next year, how long is it going to take you to complete those edits? If you're just starting a book and you want to get the rough draft done and you want to get it out and published, which is possible, people, then you have to make sure that you calculate enough time for outlining, character sketches, and what was that other thing? Brainstorming, and how much time it's going to take you to write. So if you can only write 500 words a day, then you look at the calendar and say, okay, I should be able to write X amount of days and get it done. Okay, the short story, she says, is greater than 7.5. So 7,500. I'll get back to that. Let me get back to that. Okay, so anyway, so you want to basically calculate how many words can I write a day, and then calculate how many days it's going to take you to finish that rough draft, and then how many days is it going to take you to edit, and then how many days is it going to take you to finalize it for publication. Okay, 7,500 to 17,500 is considered a novelette. There you go. See, I learned something new today. Thank you, Jenny. So, but make sure that you're taking into account those days that you're going to take off. Are you going to work every weekend? Probably not. Stuff's going to happen. If you have kids and they do soccer, that's probably every weekend, all spring. If you're going to take a 2-week vacation, don't count those. I'm sorry, less than, yeah. I'm going to blame the medication on that. So, if you're going to take a two-week vacation in the Bahamas, you're probably not going to write then. So take that into consideration, even if you don't know when you're going to take that just yet. So calculate all the days that you think you're probably going to write. Put your word count there. I hope this is making sense, and say, okay, I usually write 500 words a day. So if I write 500 words a day for X amount of days, then I should be able to finish my rough draft by here. And then I should be able to edit 1 chapter a day. And then I should finish this editing here, and this editing here, and this editing here. And then you write that goal on your calendar. Write it in ink. I know, I'm a pencil lover myself, but write that goal in ink and then work towards that goal. So I'm making it sound more complicated than it is. But basically, you're going to look at that calendar and you're going to say, hey, my calendar way over here. You're going to say, hey, I want to finish that book by March so that I can publish it in October. And then you make it happen. You calculate how many words you need to write. Take into account the time that you might need to brainstorm, outline, a character sketch, and then you make it happen. You sit down and you write on those days. You keep your writing time sacred. That's how you get it done. That's how you make it happen. And yes, I know it sounds like a lot of math. I was just telling my kiddo last night, we told her that if she could read and do math, which apparently I had a hard time with just a minute ago, she could read and do math, then she could do anything. She could do any job she put her mind to. And so she was pretty adamant that my job had nothing to do with math. And I was like, I have to meet goals. And in order to meet goals, I have to know how many words I have to write every day in order to meet those goals. So are you going to write 50,000 words every month like you did during Nano? Probably not. That's a good goal to try to strive towards, but make it realistic. But anyway, you know, I was telling her, it's like, I still have to use math. So math and reading. But anyway, as an independent author, to be indie strong, you have to keep writing. You have to finish projects. You have to publish projects. And then you have to do it all over again. So a lot of people take a moment at the end of December, at the beginning of January, to make their plan. If you want to publish 2 books, then you do the math to make it happen. If you want to just publish 1 book, do the math to make it happen. That's all I'm saying. So, but have a plan. Go into the new year saying, I'm going to publish these 2 books. It's going to happen. And this is how I'm going to make it happen. So don't just say, oh yeah, I'll do it. No, write it down and put those goals in ink and then make it happen, because you can't be a successful independent author if you don't meet your own deadlines. I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you guys. So buy yourself that fancy planner that you've been looking at, or set something up digitally and make it happen. Keep true to your daily word count that you need to meet your goals. Push yourself a little further this year, farther. I always get those mixed up. Push yourself a little bit more. A porky pig, that situation. Push yourself a little bit more this year than you did last year. See if you can't increase that word count. Definitely keep track of your word count. I can't say this enough. If you keep track of your daily word count, then it's going to go up, because you're going to see what you're doing. Okay? You're going to see how far you're coming, what you're doing, where you're at, and where you want to be. Don't overwhelm yourself. You don't plan on publishing a book a month. That's crazy talk. I know some people plan on doing that. Listen to me. If people publish a book, thank you, Glenn, further. There are people out there who will publish a book a month, but they didn't write those that month and publish them that month, most likely. And if they did, they're probably rushed and they're probably going to regret it later. Probably. I mean, everything is pretty much a probably in this field, but make your goals realistic for you and your lifestyle. And, you know, you might have that day job, so you can only write 500 words a day. And that's fine. That's fine, because part of being an independent author, yes, you want quality and quantity, but you want that quantity most of all, because if you rush it, then you're going to get an editor that doesn't fit, and you're going to put out a product you don't quite like, and then you're going to end up pulling it a year later thinking, man, I wish those people who had it didn't have it. So also, and most importantly, make it fun. Storytelling should be fun. Okay, if you're sitting down to write books, if you're sitting down to tell a story, it should be fun. Is every day going to be giggles? No. There are days that it is super hard for me to get in front of the computer. There are days when I just don't know the words, and every word I type is like pulling teeth. There are going to be those days, but I keep sitting down, because there are also those fun days where I bang out almost 2,000 words in an hour because the story is just flowing right through me to my fingers and I'm not even thinking about it. So enjoy the storytelling. It's such a fun job. We get to make stuff up, y'all. We get to make stuff up like words and math. So anyway, that's it. Remember, you are a world builder. You are a storyteller. You wouldn't be here otherwise. You'll be watching The Walking Dead or something instead, or Hallmark Christmas movies, both of which I love because it's balance. I can't wait to read your stories in 2020. And you can absolutely 100% do this. You don't have to wait for NaNoWriMo. You can start right now. I mean, you shouldn't have ever stopped since NaNoWriMo if you followed my advice. But you can do this. You can write and publish a book in the same year. I'm kind of looking at my mother here because she just published a book that has a cliffhanger and I need to know what happens. So Mom, write that book. So anyway, she's looking at the computer going, not until after Christmas, dear. Anyway, I cannot wait to read your stories in 2020. So don't leave me hanging, all right? That's it. And as I say every week, I'm so, so thankful for you guys who tune in and leave comments and help me spread the word about novelettes and further farthers. And just thank you so much for watching. This little webcast is I just look forward to doing it every week because I know I get to chit chat about something I love with people who also love it. So thank you. And I wish you all the merriest of Christmases, the happiest of holidays, and a super blessed and hopefully prosperous in words new year. So until 2020, I hope you guys have a fantastic time and happy writing and take care. Love y'all.